Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Hey there, sinners and saints. It's your favorite Bible-bashing duo from Sacrilegious Discourse, and we need your help.
That's right, folks. We're raising funds for some heavenly equipment and a studio that doesn't sound like it's in the depths of hell.
Our current setup, let's just say it's more apocalypse than audiophile.
So if you want to hear us dissect the Bible without the background noise of demonic squirrels, chip in a few bucks.
We're aiming for $5,000 to upgrade our audio and build a studio worthy of blasphemous banter.
Donate today and help us spread the good word of atheism.
You can find a link right on our homepage, sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Every dollar counts.
Even if it's from your collection plate. Husband!
Wife!
I'm back.
You are back.
I'm back.
What happened there?
I was sick.
You were so fucking sick.
I was the sickest.
Yeah, your like throat swelled shut at one point.
I had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
I had a fever.
You did.
For several days.
Over 102.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we've been gone for like a week.
Today is the first day that my voice has actually sounded decent, and I've been awake and energetic enough to even think about trying to put something together.
Well, I am happy to have you back.
Oh, thanks. I'm happy to be back.
So just in the week that you missed, it was literally all perfect wonderfulness in the world and nothing bad actually happened at all. Did you know that?
Something about gumdrops and lollipops?
Yeah, I think that's no, wait. Something did happen. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it?
It was Louisiana governor is a fucking bitch. And
dick?
He whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
He's a son of a gun.
Right.
He signed a law so that Louisiana has become the first state to require the 10 Commandments be displayed in every single classroom.
Yeah, well, let's not lay all the blame on him. There was a whole state legislature that passed this shit into law, too.
Oh, but he's so excited. I have some things to say about him.
Did you know? I saw a video of him. He had somebody, I don't know if this was staged or not, but the video is so just sickening when he's doing the signature for the bill. Mm-hmm. And then there's a little girl behind him that faints as he says he's going to sign the bill. Mm-hmm. Faints.
Yeah.
Like, it's like some sort of fucking play act bullshit.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe the girl fucking truly fainted. I have no idea. But holy crap. This whole thing is just such absolute horseshit.
Yeah, I've got some things to say when we come back.
Okay. All right. So with this, obviously you guys have figured this out. This is a little bit of a different episode than we normally do. We feel like we couldn't let this just pass without saying something because honestly, this is why we do this podcast. These things that are happening in politics, this is why we're reading this Bible. This is why we're reacting to it. This is why we're trying to call out bullshit where we see it in the Bible.
This continues to answer the question, oh my God, why do you guys always talk about politics in your religion podcast?
And sadly, it keeps coming true in the real world, in politics in the United States, as to why we have to focus on this bullshit.
Yeah. Because sadly, it's not just they're required to stick a poster up in every classroom.
Oh, no? It's more than that?
No, it's more than that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
right.
We'll talk about
I'm
that.
interested.
Yeah.
All right. It's great to be back, guys. Let's go ahead and get into this, okay?
Okie dokie. All right. Let's talk about Louisiana.
Do we have to?
I mean, okay, tell me some of your favorite things about Louisiana.
I have always wanted to go down to New Orleans and go down there for Mardi Gras and to see some jazz. And to see the French Quarter and just that's one of my places that I have to visit before I die.
Right.
I just have to.
And you want to eat crawfish or whatever?
Yeah. And I had some gumbo once, but it was not from Louisiana. We were in Memphis at the time, and that is it was one of my favorite dishes I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even in Louisiana.
Right.
So I'm like, I got to go to Louisiana.
Obviously.
Now,
I have always wanted to go visit the French Quarter ever since I read Anne Rice books. All of her Mayfair witches stories and a lot of the vampire stories take place in that area. And
I mean, it's known for like old world ideas like voodoo and things like that. So like it's a very intriguing town.
It's such
city.
a mix of current and old.
Yeah.
Just all different cultures all mixed into one.
Yeah, beyond New Orleans, there's not really much down there that I would know about other than that's really all I really know about Louisiana. And
other
at that,
than it's a very Republican state.
Yeah, of course.
We know that.
Right. It's down south. It's it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's shaped like an L.
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
That's how I recognize it on the map.
Got it. Okay.
So up until this point, I didn't really give a shit one way or the other about Louisiana, except for the things that I knew I wanted to see about it, and also the things that I knew that I didn't like about it. You know? The end.
I feel like that's as far as my curiosity about states went prior to maybe the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's become this thing that is happening in states because there are political action groups that have realized they can use states as tools to push forward ideas that they want to push forward that they can't get through national legislatures or the national, the Congress
level.
and the Senate and the presidency. They can't put them through there. So they're focusing in on states, and they do these. Well, I'm going to let you get into
the
it.
long con.
Yeah, it's a long con.
Yeah. I mean, it has to do with the whole stacking the PTO and the town councils and the libraries, and the board of education and all that. It has to do with the sheriff and, just
those Republicans all the way down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just loading it for the long con.
You got it.
And then putting the judges up. And then eventually bumping them into the Supreme Court.
To be fair, Republicans have played this game perfectly over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And they are now reaping the benefits of winning the local politics game.
And how?
Yeah. So
we were not prepared for this.
No. And this is just the most recent, right? This is just a string of things that has been happening for years now that people we're having to start to pay attention.
Yeah.
But we're not paying enough attention.
Yeah.
And I think we need to, we wanted to do this episode because we want to point out what this is and what it's going to do.
What the risk is.
Right.
So Louisiana has become the first state to require, not like you can if you want to, but actually require the 10 Commandments be displayed in every classroom.
Yeah.
And when I say every classroom, I think that most of us had in mind that this was just K through 12, right?
That was my thoughts.
This is K through university.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Huh.
Uh-huh. It was signed into law last week on June 19th by Republican Governor Jeff Landry.
Okay. And
this is only the first such mandate to be passed in the country in more than 40 years.
So I got to say something about that when he when he signed it into law. So I think I didn't cover this in the beginning because we did 2 intros. We had to redo the first one.
No, you did it in the second
I did?
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where the girl passed out behind him and everything like that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you talked about that.
Okay. All right.
So when I said this is the first mandate to be passed in the last 40 years, lawmakers in Oklahoma, Mississippi, and West Virginia, which of course are all three
very Republican,
controlled by Republicans, they introduced similar bills this year. This year, it's only June of 2024.
Well, because it's probably, and I don't know that we looked into this exactly, but it's probably all done by some specific political action.
It is.
Oh, yeah, and you.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. None of them passed. this is the first one that was able to get passed.
Yeah.
But this will be the first of many. And
right.
They may not hold, but
through the Supreme Court and
yeah.
the whole legal process,
yeah.
right?
And I'm going to get into that in a minute.
Well, my feeling is that with regard to how the Supreme Court has been handling cases that aren't going to pass, right? They don't hold water.
Yeah.
Right? They're using those cases as a way to signal ways that they can do similar laws and still get what they want.
Well, that right? And like what they just did with the mifepristone.
Yeah.
They didn't answer the question as to whether or not that medication can be mailed or sent in the mail to patients for abortion care.
Right.
They didn't answer that question. What they did is say, y'all should not have brought this case in the first place. And so they politely sidestepped the actual question, which means that it will come back to the Supreme Court, but phrased in a different way.
Right. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they utilize that time, their statements, they utilize their statements to kind of hint at ideas on how they could rephrase the framework of a bill that might actually hold water in the Supreme Court.
I don't know about that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, yeah, I know they've used that in other cases at the very least.
So this is what Landry said. I have a few quotes from him that I've sprinkled throughout my notes.
Yeah.
If you want to respect the rule of law, you've got to start from the original lawgiver, which was Moses, who got the commandments from God.
But that's not even right. Like, there were so many people that did laws before that, like the code of, is it the Hammurabi code, the code of Hammurabi or something like that? That came before Moses. And moreover, all you have to do is read the fucking 10 commandments and see that there's like 2.5 commandments in there that make some sense in a very generalized sense of what laws are in our codes for law today and nationally, but they're no basis for what our fucking government was based on. It's all centered around God.
No, it's true. And he's not trying to say in this particular quote that, our country's laws are based on God, which are the 10 commandments. Like, he's not saying that in this quote.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But a lot of Republicans do think that, no, our law is totally based on the 10 commandments. And as you pointed out, only 2.5 of the commandments actually are applicable to American laws.
Yeah.
Because there is no law against being a liar face.
There is to an extent. You can't lie in court, right? That's why I call it a half of a rule.
Okay.
So but there are rules against lying in certain circumstances.
But there's no law that says you have to honor your mother and father. There's no law that says that, you can't covet your neighbor.
There's no law against adultery, really. There's no law against building idols. There's no law that says you have to worship on the Sabbath or rest on the Sabbath or whatever.
Hold the Sabbath holy.
Yeah, there's so many things that are just not at all applicable to anything in society unless you're Christian.
Yeah. Whatever.
And even at that, I don't think that they really hold them up as, something that they follow either, to be perfectly honest.
No, I don't either. What they have to actually display is a poster-sized display, no smaller than 11 by 14 inches, of the religious rules, the 10 commandments, in large, easily readable font. And again, this will have to appear in grades K through publicly funded colleges, and this will all have to start in 2025.
Got it. Yep. So in my research, I did a little bit of research myself on this, and in some of the information that I came across, I actually found a person that I'm really interested in, and I think everybody should check this out. He's actually a very, I guess, kind of well-known activist. He's done some things as far as separation of church and state in Florida in the past, and has had some lawsuits that have been very public with regard to separation of church and state. This person's name is Chaz Stevens, and he is a political activist, artist, and entrepreneur from Florida. He has gained a lot of notoriety just recently with regard to his malicious compliance posters that he has created for the 10 Commandments, essentially. So he's like, if you go to his website, and I'm going to put a link to his stuff in our show notes, so please definitely go check it out because it's so cool. Yeah,
you showed me some of it, and I'm like, okay, that is cool.
Right. I mean, he's got ways to display them that are
within the rules, but
bending it quite a bit. Yeah. So I mean, like, he's definitely
not as intended.
He's got one where he's got basically a Chinese flag, and it's like all the 10 Commandments are all written in Chinese. and he's got one that's written in Arabic, and he's got another one that like highlights the word ass and whatever. There's just like it's so funny. It's so funny.
It follows the rules.
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. I love people that get out there and they're like, fine, we got to follow the rules. Fuck you then. Here it is.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely perfect. So Chad Stevens, check him out.
So not only must the 10 Commandments appear, the text must also be paired with a 4-paragraph context statement describing how the 10 Commandments were, quote, a prominent part of the American public education for almost 3 centuries.
Oh my, what a fucking mindfuck lie.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's absolutely a lie. It's
not true.
Right. What was it that you felt that this country was built upon as you were growing up 40 years ago?
Separation of church and state.
And a melting pot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like we were a melting pot. We brought in all cultures. We allowed for everybody, every walk of life, every creed, culture, type of different, whatever. Everybody's welcome, right? And we take everybody in. That was the beauty of what I understood America, the United States, to be when I was younger.
Same.
And now we're like, fuck y'all. If you're not white and Christian, get the fuck out of here and stay the fuck gone.
And definitely be straight.
Yeah. I don't even recognize the country that we're living in anymore with some of the shit that's happening.
It's so mean.
It is. It is. And I really don't even think it's the majority of Americans. I think it's this this large minority of people who are fighting with everything they have to make sure that their ideas are forced upon everybody else.
Yeah.
And they're doing everything they can to take control where they can and implement these things where they can and make their presence known to everybody and just piss us all off, apparently.
Well, I saw one chart, and I wish I had taken note of this, but it kind of reminded me of what you just saw, where there is about 30% of Americans who believe that there is not enough religion in the country. Another 30% who thinks there's too much, which we would fall into that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then there's another 30 that thinks it's either just right or don't give a shit.
Right.
And so that adds up to 90, right? It's that last 10% that makes the big difference, I
mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, like, how do you have no opinion? Like, what does that last 10% mean?
That last 10% is the people that, like, didn't answer. You know what I mean? So, like, also it depends on what day of the week.
Sure.
It's something where the numbers change periodically. There's a plus or minus for correction.
Yeah. Right.
So my point being, it's about evenly split into thirds.
Sure.
Our country is.
Right.
So we've got that loud third trying to make all of the rules for the other 2/3.
Yeah. No, and that's absolutely what's happening. Yeah.
And that's fucked up.
It is.
I'm not trying to discount. Yes, they are a large piece, but they are not the largest piece. They are just the loudest piece.
Right.
And their way is no more better than ours.
No.
Or no more correct than ours.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm reading their rule book and it fucking sucks.
Yes, it does.
So anyway, obviously this rule is going to be challenged. And there are a bunch of civil rights groups that are coming to file a lawsuit to challenge the law.
Yeah.
And they're all working together.
If I understood it correctly, I think the ACLU is leading the way, and like the Freedom from Religion Foundation is signed on, and I'm not sure who the other groups were.
The Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, and the American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana.
Okay.
And they are all marching together basically to make this one giant lawsuit.
Yeah, and I'm also going to put links to all of those groups in the show notes as well, because I highly encourage everyone, if you are able to, I know we usually ask for donations for our podcast, but right now this is very important.
Yeah.
This is actionable. This is something that we need to, not that we don't want donations. We need to keep our stuff going, right? But this is really, really important.
This is scary important.
And it's something, I know we're helping get the word out. So that's I guess we're helping in our own way. But these people are fighting with lawyers and dollars and on the ground right there doing the work that needs to be done. And I couldn't appreciate them more. This is the real work that needs to actually happen to change the direction of this theocratic law that is these laws that are angling towards the theocracy that are kind of infiltrating our laws. I mean, this is the work that needs to be done.
Right. So sadly, putting up the posters is not the only thing that this law, that's the loudest part.
Okay.
But that's not the only thing that this law did.
Okay.
So other measures will authorize the hiring of chaplains in the schools. So
they got this all as part of the same law. Wow.
And Landry said that that's a great step for expanding faith in public schools.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Teachers will be restricted from mentioning sexual orientation or gender identity.
Oh, my gosh.
They will not be allowed to say anything about it.
Wow.
And parents must be informed if a transgender student wishes to use a different name or pronoun from that listed on the birth certificate.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And about that, he said, God gives us our mark.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Wow.
God tells us who we are, and that's what we write down on our birth certificate. Yeah. So
This is just some backwards ass shit. Like, I mean, just like this. I don't understand how we live in 2024 and we still are dealing with this just absolute bullshit Christian backwards ass crap.
Medieval.
In modern society.
The Dark Ages.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
We can go to the moon. We can create vaccines on the fly. We can do so much. We can put computers in our pockets.
Yeah.
You know, we can do so much, but yet we're fighting fucking Christianity.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It boggles the mind that there are some states now where not only can't you have an abortion, but if you are caught carrying any kind of medication, you can be jailed and fined thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. I came across some of that and I was like, nope, can't go there right now.
Right.
That's a rabbit hole, but oof. Yeah. So Dodie Horton, the state representative who sponsored the Louisiana bill, said that having the commandments posted would allow students to look up and see what God says is right and what he says is wrong. And I mean, obviously morality shouldn't be dictated by religious texts. Hello?
Moreover, that list of laws from ancient biblical times, which is like 2,500 years BC at least, is, well, no, I think whatever. It was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have morals in it. It's just laws.
Yeah.
These are just laws that you have to follow. Morals are the reasons why you follow the laws.
Right.
Morals are your reasons for not doing things. And God cannot write down morals. You cannot write down morals. You have to have morals.
Right.
And that's the problem. People think that they can be dictated to people. They cannot. You have to have them.
It's the difference between when you want people to use their seatbelt, for example, you hope that they will buckle up because it's the safe and responsible thing to do. But Americans are very slow to adopt good ways. So instead of doing the moral thing, which would be, you know, the responsible thing and buckle up for the right reason.
Yeah.
No, instead, the majority of Americans buckle up because if they don't, they'll get stopped by police, which could lead to, you know, interactions with police that you don't want, and at the very least, a ticket.
And in general, I'm not saying that laws don't help people do things that they should, right?
No, but what I'm saying is that's the difference, though.
Yeah.
It's the difference between complying with laws versus morals and doing things for the right reason.
Right.
Are you buckling up because you understand that it's safe and that you are being responsible for your body and the other bodies in your vehicle and the people that might have to clean up your bloody mess should you get thrown from your car?
Or because somebody else told you to do it, or a list of things told you to do it, and you're going to either go to hell or jail.
Right.
Right? That's the difference.
Yeah.
You're either moral or you're following a set of rules.
Yeah.
Those are the two differences. That's the only possibility.
That's what I was trying to say.
Right.
Yeah. That, to me, that's a really great example. Like, examine yourself. Why are you following rules? Any rule. Do you stop at a stop sign because it's safe and, you know, you check all ways for traffic?
Because do you believe in the law? Do you believe in the reason behind the thing you're doing, or are you doing it because you might get a ticket?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
If you're doing it because you might get a ticket, you might want to re-examine why you're doing it and what the reasons they built that law of war in the first place, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, it gives you less of an incentive to follow it, right?
Because what that tells me, if you're doing it for the wrong reason, what that tells me is, oh, you're that asshole that does the California roll through the stop sign, doesn't really look both ways, and T-bones somebody.
Right.
You're that asshole.
Yeah.
Because the law doesn't apply to you.
Right.
Right? You're special.
And I'm going to say this one more time while we're on this subject about this, but that list of commandments in the 10 Commandments literally has very little bearing on anything in American law, other than some vague references to some things that are.
Like don't steal.
Don't steal, don't murder. And
those are the two solid ones.
Those are the two solid ones, yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of it is kind of like fluffy and bullshit.
Yeah.
And mostly based around God.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. That's definitely not even a little bit part of our laws.
Man, we would be so in jail for our podcast if that was the case.
You know what? Fuck ever. So one of the things that they will be looking at when they go to fight this law in Louisiana is an older case called Stone v. Graham.
Okay.
And that was from 1980. And it was a court case in which the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that a Kentucky statute was unconstitutional and in violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment because it lacked a non-religious legislative purpose. How does this apply? Like, what did I just say? That was a mouthful, right?
Sure, yeah.
The statute required the posting of a copy of the 10 Commandments on the wall of each public classroom in the state. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Right? The copies of the 10 Commandments were purchased with private funding, but the court ruled that because they were being placed in public classrooms, they were in violation of the First Amendment.
Right.
And so the holding, the final answer, which is called a holding, is a Kentucky statute requiring the posting of a copy of the 10 Commandments purchased with private contributions on the wall of each public classroom in the state is unconstitutional because it lacks a secular legislative purpose.
Right.
Okay. And I just wanted to get into this a little bit more since this is what case will be cited.
Yeah. And let me just say this real quick, too. If you want the 10 Commandments on your child's school wall, send them to a goddamn Christian school.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. You can have the 10 Commandments on your kid's school wall, but you send them to the school where it's allowed.
Or tape it on their folders. Tape it on their textbook.
Right. Don't force my kid to endure your God because you won't send your child to the school that lets them do the things that you want them to do.
Right.
It's not my choice to have your kid in my classroom and therefore having to have the fucking 10 Commandments displayed on the wall because you agree with your goddamn governor about these stupid ass fucking commandments being displayed.
And moreover, me saying, no, you really can't force those to be there. That's not me squashing your religion. That's me standing up for my right to not be exposed to your religion. May I please walk on the street without having your religion sneeze all over me?
Right. Well, and they need to be careful because if they go down this road where they say, okay, we'll let you have the 10 Commandments, the answer to that is going to be, okay, we'll let you have the 10 Commandments, but you also have to let the Satanic Temple have their commandments up on the wall. You have to let the Islamic community, Muslim community have their laws up on the wall.
Right.
The Jewish community, the Scientologist community, like they're all going to be up on the wall.
That's one thing I was going to say. How the hell are these people so fucking in love with their rules and their laws, and they're supporting Israel, and they're like, yeah, we always support the Jews, and then we want to put up these 10 Commandments, and it's like, okay, yes, the Jews also do the 10 Commandments, it's part of their Torah, but they don't really go to town and party Jesus style like you guys do.
Right,
so
right, yeah.
How come you love Israel? Jewish is great, but the Jew in the classroom can fuck right off.
I mean, that's essentially how we work in this country. There is very much a stigma in this country against Jewish folks generally, and it's largely the Christian community that has it. And
at the same time that they are supporting Israel and the Jews over there.
Yes. Well, because that's where God wants.
Jesus
God wants them in their homeland so that they can get,
hurry up and do their little fucking flash dance into heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when the revelation thing is going to happen, and all the people are going to dissipate into thin air or whatever.
And the planes will crash. And,
sure, yeah.
And we will all party down. Cool. So to interpret the First Amendment in this case, the court used the precedent established in yet another case called Lemon v. Kurtzman.
Okay.
And that's from 1971. And they refer to this as the Lemon test.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been listening to I don't normally recommend other podcasts on our podcast, but We Dissent is an amazing reference for Supreme Court law
cases.
and cases that are regarding separation of church and state specifically.
You should all be listening to We Dissent.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think this is the only time I've ever just freely, other than maybe we've talked about them before.
Yeah.
But they are a very, very excellent resource for learning more about what is going on in the courts with regard to secular viewpoints. So
right now is a really great time to hop on listening to them because they're like, here's what's still left on the docket.
Yeah.
Before this session ends.
Well, and they just covered Mythopristone in their last episode, and this time they just got done talking to I forget what the woman's name was, but she's a lawyer and they were talking about, oh man, now I'm drawing a blank. It was about women's rights and abortion and things like that, I believe.
Probably.
No, it wasn't that. I'm doing this no justice here, so I apologize. But definitely check out We Dissent. I just listened to it like a few days ago, and I've already forgot what I was listening to, but that doesn't mean I forgot the information. I just have a really bad memory, so.
No, yeah, but it's a really great podcast.
It is.
Highly recommend.
I'll find it here in a second. And
All
I'll tell
right.
you
Well,
guys.
while you're doing that, I will talk more about the Lemon v. Kurtzman.
Yeah.
Okay. So the court concluded that because requiring the posting of the 10 Commandments in public school rooms has no secular legislative purpose, it is unconstitutional, right? So we've already said that a couple times now.
Yeah.
And the court approached the case through the lens created in this other case, Lemon v. Kurtzman. And it agreed that if Kentucky's statute broke any of the 3 guidelines outlined in what I called the Lemon test, the statute would violate the Establishment Clause.
Got it.
The majority held that the commandments convey a religious undertone because they concern the religious duties of believers. And then there's a list of 4 of those duties: worshiping the Lord God alone, avoiding idolatry, not using the Lord's name in vain, and observing the Sabbath day. Okay. Now, since the commandments are not integrated into the school curriculum where the Bible may constitutionally be used in an appropriate study of history in that context,
right,
or even in maybe literature where you are learning about different literary styles of legends or whatever.
Right.
Because it's not being used in that fashion, they have no secular purpose and a definite religious purpose.
Right.
So the court concluded in this Kurtzman v. Lemon that even though the commandments were paid for by a private institution and were merely posted on the wall, the mere posting of the copies under the auspices of the legislature provides the official support of the state government that the Establishment Clause prohibits. So just by being there, it makes it look like the state supports that.
Yeah, and that's generally why we don't allow those displays in public places unless it's offset with other displays.
Right.
Right, like that's the one time that you're allowed to do things like that sometimes.
Right.
And even that's a little bit touch and go depending on what the situation is. So
Right.
Real quick, it was Maya Rupert that was in the Maya Rupert that was in the episode that they had as a special guest, and they were talking about on We Dissent. I'm sorry, the podcast I was just talking about. And they were talking about women's reproductive rights. So I was very close. I couldn't get exactly what the exact topic was, but that was what they were talking about in the last one. So sorry.
Nope.
But yeah, they putting stuff up is it's just
endorsement.
It's an endorsement.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you cannot do it.
Right. And that's exactly what the Establishment Clause discusses in the First Amendment.
But the danger right now is that the Establishment Clause is in a lot of danger with this new with the Supreme Court. Yeah. It's not it's very questionable whether it's going to survive the next few years.
And it shouldn't be. And that's problematic.
Right.
So just to encapsulate this, because it endorsed religion and had no secular purpose, so both of those, not just one or the other, both of those. Yeah. The court concluded that the Kentucky statute was unconstitutional.
As it should have been.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And so I just feel like it's really important that we are familiar with these 2 cases because they are the ones that will be referred to. And if we hear about them in the news at all, that's what those are.
Right.
Okay.
I always, my question to Christians when they are for putting the 10 Commandments in the schools in Louisiana, right? And I've run into this conversation multiple times over the last week with this whole thing coming up. And my question to them is, what if Christianity is allowed to take hold in a classroom? Who gets to pick which denomination?
Right.
Who gets to pick? I mean, let's say that Muslim becomes the dominant religion in a certain area. Who gets to say that that's not going to take over what's displayed on the wall?
Right.
You don't get to pick. If we decide that religion is the way to dominate our society, you're not the person that's going to get to pick which one of the religions, and there are so many.
Right.
You don't get to pick which one it is.
You say Christian, but yet I'm going to seriously doubt that you mean Catholic.
Right?
Because a lot of Christians don't think that Catholic is actually Christian because it is, so old.
It depends
world.
on what part of the country you're in.
Sure.
I mean, if you're in Boston, yes, Catholic is going to be very dominant.
Sure.
But if you're in Louisiana, it's not going to be Catholic that's dominant. So
Exactly.
It just depends on where you are.
No, yeah, totally. But I'm just saying, like, for example, Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
They are not really, they don't truck with Catholics.
No. But that's right now, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're a Southern Baptist in the Southern Baptist heart of the country, right? Who's to say that that's going to be the case 20 years from now?
Right.
You don't know. You don't know who's going to be in charge of those theocratic ideas that are filtering into our schools and into our political systems. And then you've made a decision now that you're okay with this, but you may not be okay with it 20 years from now when something else takes over.
Right.
So it's you need to be careful what you wish for sometimes, is what I kind of am getting at. Is you can't control what's going to happen if you don't have a secular way of dealing with this, because if it's not secular, it's religious.
Yeah.
And that's the only two options, really.
And that's why we don't try to be secular in order to be meanie pantses and say, you can't pray, fuck your God.
No, in fact, it's to protect your religion.
I say that at my table, okay? No, seriously, like, I'm just trying to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, like, talk out of both sides of my mouth.
Sure.
No, I say that at my dining room table, fuck your God. But out in the world, no, that is your thing.
And you and I absolutely respect individuals' right to worship as they please.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? If it does not interfere with me, I'm fine with that.
Of course.
Do your thing. I have no problem with you having your own faith and following your own tenets and following your own moral guidelines from your God or whatever the hell it is.
Whatever brings you peace, man.
You do you,
Yeah.
you know? But let me do me.
Right.
You know, I don't have any problem with your God, but let me do me.
Yeah.
And you can do you.
And the thing is that they think it's their responsibility to do you for you because you're not doing you right. And I'm like, you need to get the fuck off me.
Right? Yeah.
Seriously, y'all way too worried about my vagina.
And among other things, yes. Yeah.
We have come to the why now section of the podcast.
Sure.
Republicans have controlled the state legislature for more than a decade.
Yeah.
And the party gained a supermajority last year. Womp womp.
Right.
And the difference this session has been in the governor's office.
Mm-hmm.
For 8 years, Governor John Bel Edwards, a Democrat, used his veto powers to thwart the Republicans' agenda. But with Landry in place, now they have a guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny that you mentioned that there was a Democrat in office as the governor's office, which I'm sure he was
He was actually a Republican.
Right. But Democrat enough to be able to stand up to the legislature.
Yeah.
But the fact that the supermajority in their state Senate means that there's a lot of gerrymandering going on in the state.
Yes.
Because they're not that Republican. They just have created it to be that Republican.
Yes. Clearly.
Which is a problem in a lot of states. I know we live in Ohio. It's a huge problem here.
Huge. So the new law will face legal challenges that will result in costly litigation for who? The taxpayers.
Of course.
So not only do you have to have this bullshit on your school walls, you get to pay to fight it. And then you get to pay to have it removed after you've already paid to have it put up in the first place.
But this is a convenience factor for the Republicans, though, right? They can call the people that are fighting it evil because they're taking the taxpayers' money. Look at these liberal, assholes coming into our state, making you pay all this extra money to fight a law that we wanted because we passed this with a supermajority and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But you don't speak for everybody, guys.
Yeah.
The part that speaks for everybody is the Constitution that guarantees our rights.
Yeah.
That's what speaks for everybody.
Yeah.
Not you fucks down in Louisiana.
Right.
You can create certain laws, but not ones that infringe upon our rights. So fuck off with that shit.
And give me your gumbo. So Landry actually welcomes the fight. Remember?
Of course, that's what I'm saying. Like he's gonna call them evil. He's gonna.
Well, not just that. Here's the thing. Even if he loses the case, he still wins on the larger implications across the country as Americans begin to recognize his name and, for better or for worse, attach him to the growing religious battle. Yeah. So he cannot go wrong. And he has specifically said, I welcome the fight, I invite it, and I look forward to it.
No, this put him one step closer to the White House, honestly.
I was going to say, I mean, he's probably got stars in his eyes thinking that this will put him...
if he plays his cards right, he could end up president of the United States someday.
Sure.
Because of something like this.
Yeah, why not?
If he plays the media cards right, like this is something that could definitely propel him forward with that.
So politicians in Louisiana are not only passing a series of laws that infuse Christianity into public schools and divert public funds to private religious schools, said Rachel Laser, Chief Executive of Americans United for Separation of Church and State. That's one of the organizations.
I follow her quite a bit, actually. So.
Okay. Yep. So not only are they doing this, they're bragging about their goal of creating a Christian nation.
Of course they are.
That is what she has said.
Yeah. That
like she's absolutely
it caters
right.
to their base. It makes them more popular. It works to promote their brand.
Yes.
So I mean that's all they're branding Christianity is what they're doing.
Yes.
And they're creating this environment where they're trying to grow the brand by dumping as much of this idea into different areas of the country as they can, and then they're having these discussions in the public and trying to convince everybody that these are the right things to do, and slowly chipping away at the people that might have thought that it wasn't. That's where the danger of this comes in.
Right.
Is that they're able to have this discussion for two reasons. They've got people backing them with money, pushing these laws through, and then the media is allowing them to come onto their networks and talk about these ideas publicly and not push back hard enough.
And that moves the Overton window.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is all about.
We are not fighting this as hard as we should. We are not fighting this the way that we should. There's no good answer. I'm not saying that I have the answer on how we should fix this.
No, but we should all be screaming.
Yes. There is so much going wrong that it's terrifying to me, actually.
It's pretty scary to me as well. I'm just going to leave off on this one final note that I think pretty much circles back around to why we are doing what we're doing in our podcast. Yeah. Remember during that thing in Arizona where they were fighting over an abortion ban from 1864?
Yes.
The Speaker of the House, Ben Toma, at that time, told the New York Times just this last April that all of our laws are actually based on the 10 Commandments and the book of Genesis, which are thousands of years ago.
Oh my God.
And that right there is why we do what we do. That is why we're reading the Bible. And that is why we talk about politics in a religious or anti-religious podcast.
Yeah, because ignorance is just getting worse and worse.
And louder and louder. And harder and harder to fight.
It is openly in our politics and in our politicians at this point to where they're gleefully promoting these ideas in public in front of their constituents, and they're not getting punished for it. They're not getting taken out of office. They're not being reprimanded. They're not being chastised. They're not being laughed at. These things should all be happening.
Yeah.
They would have happened 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we get back to laughing at these people, but we need to laugh them the fuck out of office.
Yep.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right.
Fuck Landry.
Yeah. Fuck all this bullshit.
Honestly.
Thanks, guys. We've been missing for about like a week now. So thank you for not ditching us completely. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast today because it's not our normal run-of-the-mill thing here. And this is going out publicly because we could have done this as a Patreon episode. This is normally something we would do for a Patreon episode. So if you like this episode, head over to patreon.com and subscribe over there so you can get more like this. But we felt like this was a very, very important issue that needed to be discussed and have the idea out there in the world and to put our voice on this, you know, just to have it out there and say what we can say about it. So that's why this is going out to everybody. And we also haven't talked to anybody in a week on our podcast because wife has been so sick. So We're happy to be back, and we love you all. Thank you for hanging in there with us, and we'll see you later today, probably, because I'm getting this podcast out late on Sunday night, which is almost Monday morning. And we're going to get up, and we got the day off tomorrow, so we're going to get
pick
our
up
regular
our
Monday
chapters.
episode at some point today.
I don't even remember what chapter we're on. So
31.
Is it 31?
31.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, so Ezekiel 31 later. All right.
Easy, Kyle.
So we'll see you guys then, and bye.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.